Alright, so in my last video I was talking about ghost cats. Now let's talk about something actually scary.
Diets.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, diets. That thing you do when you want to lose weight, get a little bit of a different look going. The reason I bring this up now is because a little over a week ago I asked myself a question that I was curious about. And the question was, how effective is cutting out carbs as part of a diet in order to lose weight or, lean out, depending on, which aspect you really prefer to call it. So, I plan to do this video a little bit different. I was going to record for 2 weeks worth of dieting, and I was going to record some footage from before, during, and after, and talk about what I found, what I did, and if it showed results, and what my whole take on it was going to be. That did not happen. So instead, what I'll do is I'll break down what the idea was, what I noticed, and we'll just take it from there. So I'm going to get a little bit scientific. So you have what is called a base metabolic rate. That is your metabolism as it is at a standstill. That is how many calories your body burns naturally on its own without activity or anything assisting. Now, for the sake of this video and everything, we're going to round my numbers to the nearest whole and make it really simple to do all this math. Now, for me, I started at about 27 to 2,800 calories as a base metabolic, as my metabolic base. So for any dieting or any type of person who wants to start losing weight, what you normally do is you enter a calorie deficit. That is cutting a certain amount of calories out of your base rate in order to achieve the loss of fat or the loss of weight. To make it easy, you're normally only supposed to cut out around about 500 because your body still needs a certain amount of calories in order to rebuild itself and keep you going throughout the day. Also to prevent hunger from striking, because hunger is never fun. When you're really hungry, it doesn't feel good, you get cranky, not a good thing. So you try to keep yourself at a certain amount of calories per day. When I was thinking up this diet, I thought to myself, I want to cut out my carbs or cut them down as low as I could get and see what kind of results I could get after about 2 weeks. So I planned some ideas out as far as what kind of foods I was going to eat, and I started with a basic meal that I knew was going to be very low in carbs, which is about a quarter to a half a cup of strawberries, like a cup of broccoli, and then chicken. Everybody's favorite thing, chicken. Went to the supermarket, got myself some vegetables, got 3 big bags of broccoli, swung around, got some chicken, decided to go with some chicken thighs, got 4 bags of that, frozen of course, swung around and found some frozen strawberries in big bags around the corner. Got those, brought them home, sat them down. I went ahead and wrote out the amount of cost it took me to buy those particular foods in order to prep them for the coming weeks. Now, I didn't know if that was going to be enough or not. I thought I had measured it out properly, but I'll explain that in a minute. The 3 bags of broccoli were about $5.94 a piece, which means that in total, for those 3 bags, I spent around $18. The chicken was on a sale for $4.98. That's basically $5 a thing, so I spent about $20 for chicken. The frozen strawberries, that was $8 roughly a bag, so basically $9 a piece, so that's $18 for the strawberries. Food alone, I spent a little over $55. It's not terrible, but we'll get to the problem with that in just a minute. So just as a note, I already do something called intermediate fasting, which is essentially limiting the amount of time you eat your calories per day between a certain amount of hours. So I usually eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and try to get it all done before 5 or 6 p.m. and then hold it off as long as I can in the morning once I wake up. So that way I'm not snacking late into the night and all that other stuff. Since I'm intermediate fasting and I got all the food now, I decided to try to split it up as best I could into that window from which I normally eat. So I roughed it out to about 4 meals a day. So I went ahead, prepped all the food, and made as many as I could in one go, and ended up having 12 Tupperware containers filled with that exact same meal. A little bit of strawberries, the broccoli, and the chicken, all ready to go. That way I could take them with me, eat them in the morning, day, evening, night, wherever I needed to throughout the day. Problem number 1. Strawberries, whether they're frozen or fresh, do not taste good when preserved in the same box as chicken and broccoli, because you can't really heat up strawberries and have them taste good, and then you can't cool down chicken and make it taste good. Plus, if the juice melts, it's just not very good tasting. I also started thinking about it, and fruits are naturally higher in carbs than vegetables. So when looking at it, I was like, I don't really want to have the strawberries that much anymore, since they're not tasting that great, and since they're kind of just still keeping me at this little bit of a plateau. So I cut the strawberries out and substituted for green beans. But to do that, I had to go back to the grocery store, which I also picked up even more chicken. So I ended up going back to the grocery store in order to pick up the extra vegetables I was going to substitute the strawberries for, and extra chicken just in case I started to run low, since I already started to notice that I might not have as many meals as I thought I was going to have. So that ended up costing a little bit more. So in total for food, what I ended up with was somewhere closer to $100. So all in all, I spent more money than I wanted to, and my food choices at first were good. I cooked all the chicken and everything in a way that I liked, but just that taste of the same exact meal every single day was really getting boring and bland, and there's not much to do to spice it up, because it's still, regardless of what you cover it in or coat it in, you're either adding something to it that you don't need, or it's still going to be the same food regardless. Not having enough food for the full 2 weeks, but I still stuck with it just to see what kind of changes I would see. At the start of the diet, which was on a Sunday, I was 161 pounds, and I have a before picture just to kind of monitor to see if I had any noticeable changes in like body fat percentage or like leanness. By the end of the diet for a solid week was 155. I took an after picture just to see if there was any noticeable difference. I'll throw those up. Now, I can see a little bit of a difference, and I did notice a difference throughout the week. I started to notice a difference, but the amount of change that happened between just cutting the carbs down to losing the 5 pounds or whatever it was, it wasn't a huge difference. It was just a little bit, which is encouraging, but at the same time, the amount of misery that I went through eating that same exact meal every single day is just not really quite that worth it. I know a lot of you, if any of you out there are probably thinking the same thing, Trey, there's better ways to do it. You can cut carbs out without having to eat the same exact thing every single day. Yes, I know that. I did it in a way that was simplest and easiest for me to do within a time frame, because I don't have a very steady schedule, and not to mention that come and go is just, even trying to prep meals between coming and going to work and all that, it's just not as convenient for me at this time. So I only wanted to see what I could get within a week. I'm sure had I continued that exact diet, I probably could have seen even more results later on, but to me, it's just not worth it at this point. It is what it is. I mean, I did lose more weight, and I did lean out a little bit more, even in just a 7-day period, just by cutting those carbs down. But to me, it's not really all that worth it, since it was just like a grueling process. And there was somebody who said something recently that I heard, which was, regardless of what your goal is, if you can enjoy your time as you're actively pursuing that goal, then you've already reached it, and it's just a matter of time before you see that result. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to gain muscle, it doesn't matter if you're trying to lose weight, it doesn't matter if you're trying to become the president of the United States. If you are consistent, motivated, and above all, patient, it's not if you will achieve it, it's just a matter of when. It's like ordering a package from Amazon. You already paid for it, so it's gonna show up. You just gotta wait long enough time to see it come in. Another question now to ask is, when you add carbs back, does that immediately reverse the effects of just losing what I did? So for the next week, we're going to find out when leveling the carbs out after cutting is going to reverse the effects of cutting them to begin with. So if I end up gaining the 5 pounds I lost back, then carb cutting, is it really worth it if I can still lose it without cutting them? If I can still lose that 5 pounds without cutting carbs, just maybe 2 or 3 more days of extra work, or 2 or 3 weeks, a little bit more down the line, why suffer through cutting them out to begin with? Patience is, as they say, a virtue. So we'll see what happens in a week. Just join me next time when I lift a bus over my head, single-handedly. Good night.